Hello and welcome to Afternoon Tea with Karen and the Green Left and Alex Brainbridge complaining about hate speech laws they helped to create. I've been so distracted by Dr. Fauci, I've been neglecting my hate speech playlist. Anyway, last week in the Canberra Times, notice the Green Left signs in the background and Delila at the front. She's my first Delila. I find her name hard to pronounce. And as everyone calls anyone Karen, I figure I can call the PLO women who say genocide, apartheid, colonization, stolen land, occupation, and genocide once again in the same sentence, Delilah. Anyway, this story isn't about Delilah, it's about Alex. Oh, hang on. That's right. She's a member of the Greens. So she supports trans women in sports, change rooms, and prisons. And if you complain, off to the Human Rights Commission you go. Anyway, back to this. A group of 7 activists have filed a constitutional challenge to the Queensland legislation that outlaws the phrase from the river to the sea and globalising invertata when used in a way that makes a member of the public feel menaced, harassed, or offended. Their lawyer, Michael Bradbery, said, "We are asking the High Court to declare Queensland's prohibited expression laws invalid on the basis that they infringe the Constitution." This is a massive overreach. It's the first time that an Australian government has made a law that criminalises specific words. And it could have implications on other states. We know, for example, the New South Wales government has been considering a similar law, so that should stop them in their tracks, he said. One Nation are proposing to have a referendum to put free speech in the Constitution. Anyway, I digress. Delila said, "This is about genocide and our right to protest genocide and to demand that this government upholds its obligation under international law," she said. More than 20 people have been charged under laws since they took effect in March, with offences carrying a maximum penalty of 2 years in jail. Both phrases have been widely used at pro-Palestine rallies, with supporters insisting that they are political slogans about Palestinian liberation and the critics saying they amount to calls for violence and destruction of Israel, which I've done a video on people from the West Bank saying, yes, that last bit's true. And I don't mean to laugh about yeah, I kind of do. Because during the 80s, when I was a child, the Palestinians were in Lebanon. And also, I watch heaps of this. This is a ACE channel.
مين حفظك القصيدة يا محمد؟ ماما. ماما. طب ومين اكتشف موهبتك وقال لك أنت شاطر في الشعر؟ ماما. برضو ماما. طيب الله يخلي لك ماما يا محمد. طيب محمد سمعنا القصيدة.
يا قدس أفديك بدمي وبروحي، بروحي وبدمي، سأحررك من عيد اليهود بعيد القسام أكيد، أبشر أسرانا أن الفرج قريب.
طب شو حابب تصير لما تكبر يا محمد؟
قسامي.
قسامي. طيب وأنت يا زكريا شو حابب تصير لما تكبر؟
مهندس.
مهندس؟ ليش بدك تصير مهندس؟
عشان أفجر يهود.
هذا الطفل الصغير هل بالفعل يعني أنتم جئتم به حتى توصلوا رسالة لحماس أن أطفالنا أيضا معكم في هذه الذكرى؟
أنا جيت فيه عشان أعلمه من صغره حب حماس، حب كتائب القسام، وأولاد صغار حزرع فيهم من صغرهم حب حماس. لو إيش ما عمل اليهود ضدها وإيش ما عمل الوطن العربي ضدها، إحنا معها لو إيش ما جرى إلها.
رسالتي لكل أم فلسطينية أن تحث أبنائها على الجهاد. الجهاد في سبيل الله أسمى أمانينا، والذي أليست هو جهاد، أليست هو شهادة. إذا كان الموت حق فعار علينا إلا أن نموت شهداء.
نعم.
تحية لكل أم شهيد، تحية لكل أم شهيد حتى ابنها على الجهاد.
نجد أن كثير من النساء يتمنين أن يكون مقابل هذه الاستشهادية ومع هذه الاستشهادية. معظم رياض الأطفال تابعة لأخواتنا في حركة المقاومة الإسلامية حماس، فعندما نجد أنه الأطفال منذ الصغر يتربين على هذه الثقافة، الله غايتنا في سبيل الله، فتنمى عند الأطفال منذ الطفولة حب الجهاد وحب لقاء الله وحب مقارعة الأعداء، كل هذا منذ الطفولة.
Yeah. And as a member of the Greens, she also supports puberty blockers and parents who want their children to have small genitals. Anyway, Delila said that Palestinians and supporters have been singled out. The phrases, especially from the river to the sea, is just part of our history, she said. This is part of our advocacy for Palestine, so it specifically targets the Palestinian community. And the hearing date has not yet to be set. Anyway, let's watch Alex get arrested with Delila dancing in the background.
I want to talk about one of many things that offends me a lot, is the very fact that they are accusing us of being anti-Semitic, when in actual fact the exact opposite is the case. The Palestine Solidarity Movement is the movement that very clearly, determinedly, reinforcedly makes a distinction between Jewish people and Zionism. And I mean, for one thing, it would be a pretty horrible... We think better of Jews. We think better of Jews than that the Jews support ethnic cleansing and genocide and colonialism as part of their intrinsic identity. In fact, it is pretty anti-Semitic to think that those things are intrinsic qualities of Jewish people. Yeah. But in actual fact, I think it goes further. The biggest source of real anti-Semitism, of Jewish hatred in the world today, are the actions of the Zionist state of Israel, which is committing the most grotesque atrocities, and they're doing so in the name of the Jewish people. And it's not very surprising that many people might see these grotesque atrocities, see that they're being supposedly conducted in the name of the Jewish people, and draw the conclusion that Jewish people are responsible. And it is the Palestine Solidarity Movement which is the number one force in society which is telling people, no, it's not Jews that are responsible for these atrocities, it is the Zionist movement, it is the Zionist state that is responsible. In that sense, we are the biggest bulwark, the biggest obstacle towards anti-Semitism in today's world, I would argue. And just finally, before I finish, Rima mentioned earlier that yesterday was Palestine Prisoners' Day. And you will have noticed, many of you, over the last couple of years, for a large part of that time, the media, the state of Israel, they were talking about the so-called Israeli hostages held in Gaza. And I don't know how many times you were told, but I was certainly told very many times. As soon as all Hamas needs to do is they need to release those hostages, and then these Israeli hostilities will end. That's what I was told. Well, the fact is this: every single one of those hostages has been released, and the genocide continues. So when people said that, that was a lie. And there are many lies that get told in this campaign, in the campaign supporting genocide, the campaign of the Zionist state. And these laws are similarly lies as well. These laws similarly lie by saying the government says these are hate phrases, hate expressions, and that is simply not true. And I have a sign here today which basically says that it's in the public interest. It is in the public interest for people to know that when we say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that is not a message of hate. That is a message of freedom. It is not a message of hate. So I'm going to stand here with this sign. No one's going to stop me from saying, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea.
Oh, I forgot to mention the guy from the Greens is hanging out in the background there. And over on the right side, we've got some of the trans justice mob. So in other videos I've done, Alex has been spruiking the Trans Justice Project. And Jackie Turner, he's also a big supporter of hers. Oh, the Green Left is a big supporter of Jackie Turner's. And this, the Fueling Hate Report, which I've done heaps of videos on. Jackie Turner, director of the Trans Justice Project, said trans people deserve to thrive, feel safe in our communities, and have the freedoms to be ourselves. And in order to do that, we need to introduce all this legislation. So part one of the hate speech laws in Victoria was to lower the threshold by banning Nazi salutes and Nazi symbols, and this was phase 2. Oh, and one last thing before I go. Don't the flea bags make the police look really hot? Anyway, that'll do. See you later. Bye.